start recording. So, green-white hexproof or boggles it's a linear aggro deck in my opinion. Some people might say it's a combo deck. The main thing is you've got Glade Covered Scout, you've got Slippery Boggle. Most lists run these two. They're one-drop hexproof creatures. If your opponent can't get them out of your hand, generally speaking, you can make them virtually invulnerable to anything but edict effects between the Umbras and the Spirit Mantle, and basically this is the definition of building up a huge hexproof idiot. Your opponent can't interact with your creatures with removal spells, and then you just try to beat them down by like turn 4. Some draws you can potentially kill on turn 3. They usually involve ethereal armor and maybe like a ley line on 1. Beyond that, you just got your hexproof creatures. I'm running Soilhand Ledgewalker as opposed to Core Spirit Dancer. Reason being is I prefer to have hexproof creatures. Spirit Dancer sure can gain you some card advantage, but in the end you need a hexproof creature to win, because your opponent most of the time will be able to answer Core Spirit Walker. You might get like 1 card out of it. Beyond that, you've got a bunch of enchantments. You've got Ethereal Armor, which is really your biggest punch. Grispoon gives your creature flying. Hyena Umbra and Spider Umbra both have Totem Armor, which means if your creature were to die, instead it comes back. Well, it keeps it from dying actually, but you still lose all your enchantments. Especially to something like, and then you have Rancor, which is a recurring source of damage. And then you also have Daybreak Cornet, which is basically your big payoff card. Gives +3/+3, First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Catches, you have to have another aura on there. So sometimes it can be awkward, or if your opponent can blow up that aura in response, it can be a little bit problematic. And then Spirit Mantle gives your creature +1/+1 in protection from creatures. So a lot of times you can like suit up, a Spirit Mantle, Daybreak Coronet, a couple 1-drop enchantments, and have like a 10/10 lifelinking, and basically can't be killed by creatures and can't be targeted. I prefer the versions that run Leyline in the main. The things that can get you are discard spells and unique effects, both of which you can see out of the Black-Green X or Death Shadow decks. So it's nice to have this in the main deck. Also is a nice hedge against burn. There are some other decks that this randomly hoses, like Storm. They can't cast Gifts Ungiven and Grape Shot game 1. So I really like this particular style of the build of the deck, with the one major change from the usual list being I'm running Soilhand Ledgewalker over Core Firewalker. And on the sideboard, you just got a bunch of random, hate cards. Path to Exile for usually big Delve Idiots or Death Shadow. Might bring it against like a Tarmogoyf deck. Spirit Link for racing situations. Cage for Storm primarily, although you might bring it in against like Goroyo's Vengeance as well. Rest in Peace, largely here for the same type of decks. You can also bring it in against Death Shadow. Kataki's purely there for affinity and Lantern Control. Stony Silence, same thing. Stony Silence you can also bring in against Tron, because if they assemble Tron and Ugin the Spirit Dragon, that's just game over. Seal of Primordiums, a lot of the same decks. You might also bring it in against Blood Moon decks randomly, because Blood Moon decks, despite you only being a 2-color deck, Blood Moon can get you a little bit. We saw that with the Blue-Green Merfolk deck. When you have all these utility lands, sometimes something like Blood Moon can get you. And then Gadak Teague is another hate bearer for things like Storm. They can't cast their Gifts Ungiven or Past in Flames. You can also bring it in against control decks. It shuts down Cryptic Command and Supreme Verdict. One card that this deck struggles immensely against is Engineered Explosives. That's another reason to have Stony Silence in your sideboard. That and Ratchet Bomb can both be problems out of the colorless Eldrazi Etron decks. So, as things to consider. Make sure we're recording here. Like, I know we're broadcasting, but I wanted to make sure we're recording. Beyond that, Boggles is Boggles. I mean, this is the definition of a deck that folds to itself. You need to have one of your hexproof creatures in your opening hand. That's why I generally go with Ledgewalker as my creatures 9 through 12. And the other card that's random is the Dryad Arbor you can use to fetch around, like Edict effects and stuff, if your opponent doesn't have another removal spell in response. Yes, I'd like to play first. So this hand's a little awkward. Do I keep this hand? We're going to keep it, but it's risky simply because our only land is Dryad Arbor. So, and I didn't even play out our stupid. All right. Well, we're off to a roaring start here. Oh, I wonder if we're playing the same Ponza opponent we just played against. That'd be kind of awkward. Play out our Bogle and pass. That's a land destruction spell or Blood Moon. Alright. So we might be getting locked out of the game here pretty early on. Basic Forest is decent. Spider Umbra. Get in for 3 here. So it's now a Dryad Mountain. So it's not doesn't completely shut it down like it does some of the man lands. So next turn, if they don't blow anything up, we've got Rancor. This is a board sweeper here. Alright, sure. Horizon Canopy doesn't do a whole lot here. Need to draw like our white source, maybe. PN Kieran, it's kind of annoying. Yep, let's just move on to the next game. Need to draw like my basic planes or my basic Alright, so these ley lines don't do anything in this matchup. Cards am I interested in? Might be interested in some amount of Path Exile effects, and probably could buy a couple of Seal Primordiums, both for Blood Moon and for actually, I don't think I need to be specifically interacting with their creatures, but I am interested in interacting with their Blood Moons and their Utopia Sprawls. I mean, T could stop something like Bonfire, but if we're losing to Bonfire, we're already in pretty rough shape. It's kind of random how many decks something like Ponza just like punks with turn 2 Blood Moons. Just a random note, because that's a deck I think we've played against 2 games in a row. Sure. We've got a Boggle and we've got a fetch land to go get a basic forest here. This does keep us from casting Daybreak Coronet, but it does allow us to play... Yep. I'm almost tempted to hit their main accelerator here, but we'll see what we draw first. Daybreak Coronet. Ultimate Punishment. Because if like their big play is Blood Moon, we kind of get to... I don't think I'm supposed to play out the second Bogle here. Blood Moon? Ah, Stone Rain. Alright. So... we would have been able to play Daybreak Coronet here, which I think would have been pretty huge. So I think I'm going to play out Primordium here and just blow up their stupid Utopia Sprawl. It's possible like they don't even have Blood Moon in their deck anymore, so pass. Sure. Another land destruction spell, or... Alright, Anger of the Gods, sure. See what other plays our opponent might have here. Wow. Okay. Bogle. Bogle. Glad we played around sweepers this game, but not sure. This is Blood Moon. I'm going to be a very not happy camper. Alright, Chandra is kind of whatever. Alright, I guess they could play some type of 4-drop here, which is annoying. Just like Huntmaster. Okay, yeah, that's annoying. So... actually attacking Chandra here doesn't really... Yeah... I already played freaking Merfolk this morning and was not a very happy camper with it. And I'm pretty sure I've run into the same Ponza deck now twice this morning. Ran into it with Merfolk, now I think I ran into it again with, oh, dear lord. Yeah, Blue G Merfolk. I don't know what to say here. Morning, Darius. How are you? Attack Chandra for 1 here. I was kind of hoping we'd hit like a... enchantment and I could suit up my guy and get him out of the range of Chandra. Yeah, it's going to happen a lot in the eastern U.S. today. We're getting snow here. Yeah, school being canceled is something. The heck is this? Okay, Kitchen Finks, I'm not really sure I care about all that much. What other card? Baloth? Sure. Really need to hit... I need to hit like a mixture of stuff here, and it's kind of a... So I'm in the really awkward spot that I need this white source, and... Boggles is not a deck designed to go late. Yeah, Ponza doing Ponza things. Whenever I play the deck, I can't ever draw a 1-mana accelerant. When my opponents play the deck, they always seem to hit the 1-mana accelerator. So... Utopia Sprawl. Presuming you're just going to let that damage us. Yep. So what I really need to hit here is some type of enchantment. 1-mana enchantment preferably. Otherwise we're in... Alright, I really did not want to see Boggle here. But does allow us to chump block out of next turn. I still can't afford to... Yeah, I mean... To be fair, the last couple leagues I've played with any deck, either Slivers, Ponza, or Slivers, Merfolk, or Boggles now, I've played against some really weird decks. So what is this? Well then. I think that means we're dead. If our opponent chooses to let Chandra damage us, we're dead. Or if they were to... Yeah. Because what's going to happen here is... I'm going to chump block here, take 3, and then I'm locked out of my horizon canopy, so I can't even cast Daybreak Coronet, even if I happen to hit a 1-mana. Yep. Alright, so I kept a greedy hand on 1 because I had a Boggle in it and only had Dryad Arbor as my land, and so that was my only like faux pas of the match. But with Boggles, you gotta keep a Boggle hand. I mean, and the fact that my opponent was on Ponza is just like ultimate punishment for whatever was going on. But Merfolk, I did not like Merfolk this morning. It just played against 2 removal heavy decks and then played against Ponza, and it's just like. Whereas Boggles, you know, with Boggles going in, Boggles can be amazing or Boggles can be just utter trash depending on your hands. No Boggle, mulligan. No Boggle, mulligan. Well, I have 3 Boggles and need to hit a land. I'm gonna bottom Dryad Arbor because we can't guarantee Dryad Arbor will live long enough to cast a spell, so. And this is one of the risks of playing Boggles, is you have to mulligan to hands where you have a creature, so. Sacred Foundry tapped. Not a good sign. Pass. Sacred Foundry tapped leads me to believe this is possibly red. Nope, this is just Jeskai. Alright. Land, please. Alright. So. Temple Garden. I don't like taking this much damage against Jeskai, but at the same time, I need to be able to cast all my spells, so. Well, that's cool, Darius. Did you go to that, did you buy it, or did you go to that, like, store event where... Yeah, Bolt, sure. So we have a game now. Our opponent's... Alright. So our opponent could have something like Supreme Verdict, but I don't know how much we can even afford to play around that right now. Lead on Griffspoon here. Okay. Because I know some stores were like having that one event where our opponent has a counterspell. This is... okay. Opponent either has Supreme Verdict or they just can't interact with us at all. So... looks like they're just going to try to burn us out before we can kill them, so. Snapcaster Lightning Bolt, yep. So our decisions to fetch shock, may get us a little bit here. Not much we can do. We hit, Um, it's an interesting card. I'd honestly have to look it up, because I don't remember what exactly it does. Here comes Snappy. Now we're just in a flat-out racing situation. Hopefully we hit, like... Yeah, Leyline... Leyline might be okay, like, next turn. So at least we know we're going to get to trade off with Snapcaster Mage here. Players can't gain life. Yeah, that part's usually pretty relevant. They have Lightning Helix here. Damage can't be prevented. Supreme Verdict here would just be a beating. Like, one more land, we get to cast Leyline, which kind of closes off their burn spell plan. And yeah, I'm trading Snapcaster Mage here. Am I trading with Snap? Yeah, I think I'm still trading with Snap. I think if they had the 2 burn spells, they would have killed us. So I'd rather keep my life total high. Had Wither. Kiki. Alright. So they are... Hyena Umbra. What, trade off with Snap? Yeah. Especially now that they've played Kiki. Second main phase. So we have to dodge Resto Angel next turn. And they've got like a couple draws at this now. So, sacrifice your wall. I mean, if you've got Resto Angel, you've got Resto Angel. Okay. You just have the burn spells to close it out. Snapcaster. Yep, we've seen enough. So, opponent either needed the bolts or the... Alright, so... What are we interested in? What are we not interested in? So we know our opponent is Jeskai Kiki, which means they have Restoration Angel in their deck. So it's probably like Wall of them and Snapcaster Mage, Resto Angel, Kiki, and then... Oh, no. I'm not gonna... But that's what you sign up for when you play Boggles, Tweezy. You should have known enough of Hervey playing the deck that... Well, I guess Hervey's a bad example. But you should have seen enough in Modern to know you live by the opening hand, you die by the opening hand. That said, I don't think I'm interested in any more Path to Exile, and Leyline is fine in the matchup because of burn spells. So I think I'm just going to submit. So, I mean, I could There is consideration to bringing in Galactique for Cryptic Command. There's consideration for a lot of things, but sure. I mean, I've got Boggles, I've got Auras. It's unlikely our opponent can afford to play Blood Moon in their 3-color decks, so I think I'm just going to fetch Temple Garden here. Because ultimately what cost us that last game, besides the fact of having to wait to deploy our spells, was the fact that our opponent, or that we had to fetch shock, to be able to cast all of our spells. Like, I wanted to be able to play the Serum Visions on one. Gotta be, right? Yep. I wanted to be able to play our heavy hitters whenever we drew them. So Engineered Explosives is a card. Anger of the Gods is a card. I don't think I can play around either of them in this hand. I guess I'm technically out of reach of Anger of the Gods already. So, see what our opponent has here. Probably like Wall of Omens. Yep. Yeah, Daybreak Coronet was the card that I really wanted to be able to hit and play. Not playing out any more of our creatures here. Yeah, opponent's just going to chump block. This is Hexproof doing Hexproof things. See if our opponent has like a counter spell or something here. Looks like, okay, that's not gonna get you anywhere other than I guess recycling to try to hit something. So opponent's not dead here, but they do have very little that can interact with things here. They've got like Cryptic Command that can buy them turns. Supreme Verdict I don't think does it. And they're not even playing the Supreme Verdict. So I guess you can Cryptic through this turn. But I don't know if that really does for you with no pressure on board. I have no reason to cast anything here. Do you have Cryptic Command? Tap the team, draw a card. Yep, I still have no reason to play anything, so. Snapcaster, Serum Visions. Yeah, that would have been a reason to play. But I don't think at this point Tweezy I can afford to play around it, since I haven't already. And they're obviously digging for it, so. But to be, especially with Snap and Play now, like, yeah, I agree I should play around Blessed Alliance, but how many Blessed Alliances are they realistically running? And the other question is they now have a setup where they can. So I'm going to attack this. The question is, do I need to attack this turn or not? Looks like I just get to for a free roll. Alright. But yeah, I need to play a second creature to play around that, you're right. Well, I mean, there was some consideration, like this turn, if I didn't. They're buying themselves a lot of time with these stupid jump blockers. So I think I'm just forced to play one idiot out. Yeah, God of Victory is pretty sweet. But like, I'm forced to play this out. They topped a card, so obviously whatever was on top of their deck they really like. Engineered Explosives is a card that certainly, like, massively blows us out here. Like, we're left with a 1/1 creature. They could easily have, like, Restoration Angel into Kiki here, and there's not really a darn thing we can do about it. This looks and feels like Restoration Angel. So if they have Kiki Jiki, we're just dead here. Guess I'm kind of inclined to play out this last Boggle, because there are so many things at this point they could have that just kind of beat our head in. Well, I don't see a bunch of red mana being immediately tapped, so I guess we're not dead. Or, I spoke too soon. Yep, here comes Kiki Jiki. Free drama roll, opponent. Props, opponent. Gotta give us that 5-second delay drama. Just like, nope, he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. Oh, there comes the red mana. Never mind. Sure. We've got a boggle. We gotta keep the hand. It's not that great, but we've got a boggle. We've got a redraw. Yeah. So their opponent got discard spell and a discard spell. Oh, Death Shadow! Delightful! Please, Serum Visions. Please just have... Okay. It is so nice of our opponent that they did not have a discard spell on one. Oh, Tweezy I did keep in path. I had... The decision wasn't to keep in path, the decision was to... bring in more pass. And outside of that exact scenario, there's no reason to bring in pass number 3 and 4. Like, maybe there's some random enchantment we could have kept, or boarded out, or maybe even Dryad Arbor we could have boarded out to, is this Death Shadow? I mean, I know the deck's Death Shadow. I'm just saying, is my opponent playing a Death Shadow here? Nope. Fatty Boom Boom. So my opponent will now have Stubborn Denial up, which is going to be obnoxious. And if they have Stubborn Denial here, they have Stubborn Denial here. See if we can bait it with this. This one's probably not resolving, as long as our opponent thought about that. Yep. Nothing we can do, though. Guess I could have played, like, Ledge Walker that turn, but we're really not getting that far. And this deck doesn't usually run the Leona in the main, so... Alright, Daybreak Cornet's a card. If they have another Stubborn Denial, though, we're in some trouble. Guess they could also have Snapcaster. Yep, Snapcaster, Stubborn Denial. Oh, man. So we got lucky, our opponent didn't have discard on one, but they've had... Yep. I mean, we still have draws that get us back into this game. Path to Exile, another Ethereal Armor, another Daybreak Cornet. It's possible I should have gotten Dryad Arbor here to try to block Snap, but their hand's probably just like removal spells. And of course you have Death Shadow to make it even more complicated. Alright, Griff Spoon. Does that change the math here? So that becomes a 3/2. Take that, take that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab our forest here. Play out Ledge Walker as a chump blocker. They have Team or Battle Rage, we're dead either way, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to chump block our way out of this nonsense. I don't think it's gonna work, but oh, wow, I'm a moron. I keep thinking my creatures have reach and flying and they don't. Yep. Didn't even have good attacks there. This is cool. Oh, Snapcaster Mage. Yep, that's just lethal on board. Alright, well, Death Shadow, we probably want our pass. We might want our Rust in Pieces. Definitely want pass. Definitely want Rest in Peace. So what cards are kind of subpar in this matchup? I'm thinking it's do we have Spirit? No, Spirit Loops just links just in the sideboard. Actually, Spirit Link is interesting, but I don't think it's what we're in the market for. I think the cut's just going to be Rancor here, simply because I would board out Dryad Arbor, but Liliana is usually in their sideboard, and they do have Engineered Explosives, so a lot going on here. But I think it's just those four in for those four out. And their Stubborn Denials are a lot more useless whenever they're not having a creature in play. Sure, I mean, we've got a Boggle hand. See what kind of thing they've got. Discard spell here will be kind of sucky. Yep, probably takes. Guessing you take Ethereal Armor here. Ethereal Armor or Spirit Mantle. I take Spirit Mantle. That's an interesting one. Do this. Do this. So our opponent obviously could have like Death Shadow or something. Maybe that's what they're banking on. So next turn we just play the fetch land. Yep, Death Shadow, sure. Leyline of Sanctity. You always show up at the funnest times. Yep, opponent has to Stubborn Denial this. Now we just kind of sit here and Play the waiting game. uh... Possible our opponent has another Dust Shadow or something. Dust Shadow or a Delph out of here. Five. Guess it's possible our opponent has Battle Rage here. Don't think we really have any other. Go get our forest. Go get our plains. Play out this ley line. Alright. If you have Team or Battle Rage, we're dead. If not, then... Nope. I'm not sure what they could be sitting on over there then. Alright, pass. Sure. Well, this is an interesting game. Do you draw Team or Battle Rage or Engineered Explosives before my Boggle is bigger than your Dust Shadow? I guess that's what this comes down to. Alright, and the Stubborn Denial, cool. If they didn't have Stubborn Denial, that was pretty much game there. So. We're drawing to Path, most of our enchantments. Thought Scour targeting themselves. Would they exile? Serum Visions. Pass. This is a fun, interesting, interactive game of Magic. Yes, I apologize to Jeff Hoagland for stealing that particular line. Alright. So they still could be holding Ambush Viper in their hand. It's a reason to not go for an all-out attack next turn. Sure. Okay, so they have... That tells me they're running the... Griffspoon. That's probably the ticket. Do you have another Stubborn Denial, or is this a concession? Alright. Whew. Finally got one. Alright. So... we didn't see anything... Though those stupid Lingering Souls, man. If they did bring in Lingering Souls, does that change our desire to have Rancor? I don't think so. Yeah, this hand's a pretty easy keep. Get a Boggle down on one, even if they thought sees us here. Wow. They got the turn 1 Death Shadow? Nope, turn 1 Inquisition. So with 2 Boggles in their hand, they'll probably take either Rest in Peace or Ethereal Armor here. Griffspoon. They must be planning on playing a fast Knucklehead here. I'm presuming this is a fast, like Tassiger or something here. Nope, Death Shadow. Death Shadow and Delphati? So I guess I'm supposed to Path Death Shadow here. He's the bigger threat. This accelerates them into Liliana if they have it. So... am I supposed to play out... guess I'm just supposed to play out another Boggle here just to hedge my bets a little bit. It's like, do I want to play around Stubborn Denial and get my Ethereal Armor down, or do I want to play around... possible I should have fetched a Shockland or a Plains there. Because, like, if they have Liliana here, it's just like... so bad for us. Nope. there's another path. Yeah, definitely. Looks like they don't have a Snapcaster Mage. So play out this Rest in Peace. This should get a Stubborn Denial out of your hand. Not sure why you're fetching in response, though. Oh, activating Tassiger in response? We'll give you a Thought Scour. Because we're not activating Griffspoon in response anytime soon. I don't know if that 2 damage was worth a card. Alright, so what do they mill out of ours? Hyena Umbra and Daybreak Coronet. Coronet I wouldn't have wanted anyway, so... Do you have Stubborn Denial? Alright. Play out this. Do you have Snapcaster? Looks like the answer is no. You're gonna play out Snapcaster as an attacker. That's a bit aggressive. Alright, sure. So what does this imply? I guess I trade off with Snap here. Alright, fair enough. I think Teamer Battle Rage has either way here, so... We got Bogled. Play one more match with Bogles, even though we're sinking money into this never-ending cesspool of Moto today. So, how's everyone doing today? Or this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are. Hope you're enjoying hanging out with us, watching me get my hind end kicked as I'm playing Boggles. So... I mean, we've played Blue, White, Red, Kiki, Ponza, and now Death Shadow. So, Death Shadow has a lot of disruption that's somewhat relevant in the matchup. Game 1, they got us with a double Stubborn Denial. Game 2, we got them. Game 3, I mean, obviously you saw we just got Teamer Battle Raged. So, happens sometimes when you're playing linear decks without any other recourse. So right now what we're trying to do on the channel is we're playing all of the linear aggro decks in Modern. What I'm trying to do long term is narrow down the decks we play on the channel to like 4 or 5 Modern decks to better get to play them, know them, master them, trying to improve Magic overall. I've played a lot of other decks previously last year. This year I was trying to do a little more focused. One of the problems has been I play a lot of decks, but I'm not like a master of many of them. So I'm not necessarily getting the best results out of them, or I'm making silly, sloppy play mistakes that shouldn't be made with someone who plays the deck for a long time. So the only deck like I can conceivably say that I'm pretty close to a master of is Burn. So started out with the series trying to narrow down the decks. Guess I will play first. So this hand is... This hand's a keep. It's risky against one card, and that card is Spell Snare. If our opponent is a blue deck with Spell Snare, then this hand is risky. Otherwise, this hand should be pretty decent. Or could they just be playing Storm and kill us on... Well, nope. Grixis Shadow. Alright. Griffspoon's not a horrible card. Ledgewalker is one of our better threats against them. Because now they can't Thoughtseize us, they can't Liliana us. And... Sure. Thoughtseize themselves, sure. Alright, that's quite the hand. So they decided to Thoughtseize their Terminate. Alright, they're just trying to get a Tasker in play, I see. This was pretty close to like the Boggle nut draw. So, if this hand can't beat him, I don't know what can. But the way these leagues have gone so far today, don't count on anything going screwy. I expect like top deck Engineered Explosive third land somehow. I don't think they can, but yeah. Alright. Yeah. So, at least we have plenty of practice sideboarding this matchup now. Get these Rancors out. Get the pass, and the rest in pieces in. Don't think we're interested in any of the other cards. So at least feels like there's some interesting back and forth to the Grixis Shadow matchup. I mean, at least you've got cards that are relevant in the matchup. Not like Jeskai Kiki, where basically have to have path on the spot or some way to get around their creatures, or you just die. But that's one of the risks of playing. Alright, so this hand has no Boggle, but has Leyline. We just can't keep this hand. We're gonna get, yep, probably Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize, take our Ledgewalker, and then we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs. Some consideration to leave a path here, but I don't think it's worth it in this spot. Yeah, they're just going to Thoughtseize our path away anyway. Yeah, well. So, I mean, they have soft stub here, they have soft stub. Well, I mean, Rest in Peace wasn't the worst draw. Now we know they don't have Stubborn Denial in their hand. Serum Visions. Sure, take Spirit Mantle. Just going to go ahead and pass here. Going to crack Horizon Canopy on end step, that way they can't. I mean, they've already hit us with 3 discard spells, so there's probably not much left there. Why are they Thought Scouring themselves? Discard another Thoughtseize. We draw Temple Garden. Alright, so we're going to play out I don't know how many copies of a card like Fatal Push or something our opponent left in, so we may just have to go for Dryad Arbor, suit up, and hope it gets there. This feels pretty miserable. Leyline of Sanctity. Play out Leyline here. Guess it would help if I tapped another white source. One of the annoying parts about Magic Online sometimes is just tapping the right mana. Alright, so our opponent left some number of Fatal Pushes in. I'm glad we didn't try to go in on it. You have Stubborn Denial too. Nope. Alright. Now our opponent's Lilianas are pretty well useless. I mean, of course they can uptick, take our hand away, but whatever. Now we just need to draw a creature. Ambush Viper? Yep. Alright. I mean, Snappy's not the... I mean, it's a clock. But, got rid of a Death Shadow. I mean, they're getting close to where they can cast Delve Fatties. So we need to draw a creature here pretty soon. Alright. Play out Horizon Canopy. Spider Umbra. Question is, does our opponent have enough lands in their deck to actually cast a Delve Fatty at this point? Or are we just casting Street Wraith? Looks like a Street Wraith. Alright, so we're on a 3-turn clock here. Presuming they don't draw a Death Shadow or another Snapcaster or another Street Wraith or... Alright, so we drew a Ledge Walker. Ethereal Armor. Do you have double Stubborn now here? Yes. Wow, okay. Windswept Heath's not really a card here. Umbra. 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 I don't think they have Teamer Battle Rage, because if they had Teamer Battle Rage, we would have been dead last turn, probably. So. Another Delphatty? Feels like a Tasker. Do they attack now, is the question. Go to 1 here. So we do have some draws that just flat out kill them. Not a ton, but we do have some. Another Leyline of Sanctity. Yep, we're just dead. Alright, one more go round with Death Shadow. So we know they left in Fatal Push, which is interesting, because they either don't have enough cards to board out, or Fatal Push is just there for Dryad Arbor and maybe Gaddock Teague, though Gaddock Teague doesn't really hit anything in their deck. It's a mulligan. It's a keep, but we get wrecked by a discard spell. Not interested in that. Basically one discard spell here and we're up a Shiitake Creek. Alright, so Why would you wait till your second main phase? I'm confused. There's nothing we could play there. Alright, well, we would have been probably bailed out. Not sure. Serum Visions. Alright, so we're in that really weird spot where Liliana here would wreck us, so attack with Silhana. Now, do I play around Anger of the Gods or Liliana? That is the question here. So, go Ledgewalker, go. And then fetch Anger of the Gods, completely annihilate us. Kozilek's Return. Yep. Glade Covered Scout. Ethereal Armor, go. Hope this is good enough, and if you have the nuts, including Liliana, we're... not much we can do about it. Death Shadow, Death Shadow. Wow. Okay. So, not sure I'm supposed to beat this hand? Go ahead and pass here. Sure. Just take the damage. Try to path your left back Death Shadow. I don't think Daybreak Coronet here quite does it. I think this puts it to a 6 power. So do we attack or not? Puts us to 15. I mean, yeah, if they had Teamer Battle Rage, they probably would have gone for it last turn anyway. Echoing Truth. Didn't see that one coming. I think we're just in chump block mode. Yep, doesn't even get us anywhere if we do, so. Alright. So, guess we'll play the final match. I mean, this deck isn't that bad that I don't want to get a 5th match in. So, trying to think. We had a choice there. We could either play around Liliana of the Veil or a Sweeper. Most of their sideboards are running, at least the ones before the open yesterday, were running like 2 Liliana of the Veil. And most lists are running 2 to 3 Sleepers, depending on if they have Statcaster in their board. But there's no way in heck we could have known to play around Echoing Truth. That's just a card I don't think I've seen. I didn't look at Donegan's list yesterday. I don't think it had Echoing Truth in it. So that's not a card that I would have expected to have to play around. Got Boggles, but no land, so mulligan. Sure, we'll keep his hand. Bottom Leyline of Sanctity. Still looking for another land here. Looking at Donegan's list yesterday. See if he was running. No, he wasn't running Echoing Truth, so that's obviously a sideboard card that was unique to our opponent's particular okay. So it looks like we're playing against some style of zoo deck-ish. I mean, Death Huster is reasonable, but we've got these Griff Spoons, we've got these Spirit Mantle if we ever draw a second land. So, but no, Donegan's list was not playing Echoing Truth yesterday. Is there any other Grixis Shadow lists? Countryside Crusher, sure. Put some type of aggro loam deck, it looks like. So wow. Where lands put in your graveyard. +1/+1 counter. Obviously, we've got a lot of good draws in this spot, but our opponent could easily turn this race around and win. Duress. I mean, Duress is a fine card here, I guess. We've got plenty of enchantments in our hand. Young Pyromancer into Duress. Life from the loam. Alright. Some type of aggro loam-ish strategy. I think against my Boggles opponent I would have been inclined to cast Duress, but, you know. Three, 5, 6, 7, 3, 5, 8. If our opponent's got like Bolt, Bolt, or something along those lines, we could be in some 5. So if we hit another either 1-mana enchantment next turn or a land, they're dead. Dockmore Salvage and Raven's Crime. So they get a 1/1 here. Or counter. Presuming the Duress gets cast this turn. Huh? Oh, okay, they're dredging loam. Gotcha. So am I just dead here? I'm presuming if our opponent's cracking a fetch land, that's going to kill them. Three. This is 7, 8, 9, 10. So Raven's Crime. Oh, this is cute. Wow. Okay. So our opponent was going to use Raven's Crime to kill us there. Interesting interaction. Alright, so sideboarding. Probably want Rest in Peace. I don't know how particularly relevant it is. We want Rest in Peace against their shenanigans. Beyond that, Path is fine, but how... far do we want to go down that rabbit hole? Probably want to get rid of some amount of Rancors. And what's the other card we're interested in cutting here? Probably Dryad Arbor. I don't think they're a Lilion of the Veil deck. And maybe go down like one Ledgewalker on the draw, or on the play. So we're interested in having Leyline or Boggle in our opening hand. No land, got a mulligan. Keeping, but it's not great. Leyline to the bottom, thank you. Have to get a Temple Garden here. Glade Covered Scout. Pass. What you got on one? Damn Renegade? Yep. So we really need a land here, would be nice. Alright, so play out Ethereal Armor. Pass to our opponent. Not attacking my 2/2 into your 2/3 Death Toucher, doesn't seem good. So Jund Countryside Crusher is an interesting one. Young Pyromancer is going to be an extremely annoying card for our current draw. I don't think if I were my opponent here, I would attack with Renegade. Alright, so go get... Probably should have gotten Temple Garden again here. Play this out. Still have no reason to attack with this card yet, because they could double block. I guess even double blocking wouldn't do anything there. Is my opponent going to play a Liliana out of nowhere in their otherwise budget deck? Oh no. Apparently they just really don't like Rest in Peace. No blocks. Would love to see something like that is not the card we were looking for. Pass. No reason to attack right now. We're not going to be making headway and we're taking too much damage on the backswing. Perhaps I should have brought in Spirit Link, just in case we get in racing situations. Life from the Loom. Alright. Obviously still wish I had that Rest in Peace in play. So literally the only card our opponent could have right in this spot is Nature's Claim, but I'm not risking 2 damage for that. So especially since I now have this to kind of back it up a little bit. Opponent could have been bluffing there, but I'm not risking 2 damage for that. Because if he blows up either of our enchantments there, we're just doing that for no value. Though I'm not sure what our opponent's endgame here is with loaming. So it just was a bluff attack last turn. This is a 15-13. I suppose there's some world where our opponent can make us pay for this attack, but end step lightning bolt kill us? Nope. Alright. And this feels like a matchup we should be pretty reasonable against. But once again, boggles is boggles. Sometimes you get good hands, sometimes you don't. Maelstrom Pulse on what? Ethereal Armor? Alright, that's kind of annoying. Play Loam again. See if our opponent gets too cute here. Attacking with Pyro. Alright, I guess we're just playing out a Slippery Bogle here and passing. So we do have certain numbers of draws that just kill our opponent, but we also have other things that they punish us with here. They decided not to dredge this time. get rug. Alright, so we have a few less outs now with the 6/6 in play. Land is not really what we were looking for. Play out Glade Cover Scouts. Pass. So our opponent's at 2. Sacrifice, draw. Did they choose to dredge with this one? They do. We see Abrupt Decay, Abrupt Decay. Oh dear lord. So you loam, they draw a card whenever wow. From anywhere? Wow, that is quite the value engine once they get rolling. I'm really kind of glad, oh dear. This is probably a Raven. Nope. Alright. I mean, Spirit Mantle and I think Griffspoon are our main outs right now. Our opponent could probably Raven Crime us here without much drawback. Probably feels like what they're doing. This is quite the value engine our opponent's got. Are they just gonna Raven's Crime to get more tokens? Yeah, probably. And draw cards. Alright, well, I don't know if we're gonna win this game, but it was fun to see our opponents deck in like their full it's quite the engine they've got. So I hope everyone that sees this later on is enjoying it. Oh, Urborg. Alright. I mean, block that. No need to hold it in our hand, but I still think we're dead here. I think we do go ahead and attack with Glade Cover this turn. just to force our opponent to throw a bunch of crap in the way, and then we can deploy the Rancor on the Ledge Walker. Opponent's gotta throw like 5 elementals in front of this. 6 elementals. Okay, sure. I mean, you've more than accomplished what you were trying to. Click the creature. It's really kind of hoping to get a Rancor into the graveyard here, but I suppose this serves our purposes either way. So now we have an enchantment out to draw to. It's going to F6 through our opponent's turn. They can do whatever they want. If they draw like Lightning Storm here, we're dead to Lightning Storm. Alright, I mean, sure, go for it, opponent. I'm just going to pop out the graveyard permanently. So we're chump blocking Get Rog Monster. Yep, sure. We're chump blocking Get Rog Monster and hoping to rip an enchantment that just kills them on Sohana Ledge Walker. And if they have Bolt, they have Bolt. Judging from the rest of their deck, I don't think Bolt's even in their deck, so. Our opponent's got an enormous value engine. I suppose something like Abrupt Decay could be in their hand if they leave up enough mana. But I suspect they're just going to continue their value engine. Then if we draw an enchantment on for Ledge Walker, it's a kill. If we draw an Daybreak Coronet, I don't think Daybreak Coronet keeps us alive. But it'd be close. Yeah, our opponent's just going all in on the go wide elemental nonsense. Yep. As soon as you tap that land, all of our enchantments are pretty much. But how many? I think we boarded out some number of Rancors. Guess it doesn't really matter here. Question is, do I even chump block it Rog here then? Yeah, I may as well. Path to Exile. Drop you to 1. Force a rather enormous chump block. Sure. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. So 7, 8, 9. So I go to 1 here. Alright, another land to go get. So 6, 7, 8, 9. Go exactly to 1 if they don't have anything else here. Our opponent has burned a lot of clocks, so it's possible they can't win a game 3. Devour flesh. Alright. Ah. And the Raven's Crime Rancor. Oh, seriously, opponent? Alright. Yep. So our opponent's randomly running Devour Flush. Alright, well. Boggles be boggles. Alright, so as for the deck, I mean, Boggles is fine. Obviously, there are some metagames where it's better than others. Sometimes you just fold to your own draws. A couple times our opponents had like exactly the right interaction there. Our last opponent, oddly having Devour Flesh probably in their sideboard. I guess that's a fine card against Death Shadow, so it's not necessarily for us. That being said, like Leyline of Sanctity shuts down almost our opponent's entire deck, as did Rest in Peace. Death Shadow was hit or miss, obviously. We managed to squeak out that one match win. Ponza is Ponza. You know, Blood Moon on 2 tends to hurt a lot of decks. And then that Kiki, Jeskai Kiki deck, I mean, they just stayed alive until they could combo us. And we didn't have a path in our hand to stop it. So, I mean, you're a linear aggro deck. Sometimes you hit your powerful draws and run your opponent over, sometimes you don't. Deck doesn't have a whole lot of finesse or disruption to it. So, suffers from fragility problems from its... You have to have a boggle in your hand. Sometimes you get a boggle but don't hit a land. So, a lot of the same problems a lot of the other linear aggro decks are. You have to have the right balance of lands and spells, plus you're dependent on one of these 12 cards being in your opening hand. So, I mean, Boggles is a fun change of pace on every once in a while, but I don't think it's a deck we're going to necessarily focus on the channel. So far, Humans and Burn have shown the most promise in terms of the linear aggro decks, with pretty much like Affinity to go. It's about the only major linear aggro deck we haven't hit. So, with that, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us this morning. For those of you that have slogged through that entire last match with Boggles, thanks for hanging out. So we have a YouTube channel down below, the links down below the channel. Feel free to check that out. We have a lot of modern content, especially. We have some standard content. We'll probably get back into standard once Rivals drops online. Do a little bit of drafting there, and then continue on. The linear aggro series, we've got Affinity, and I've got maybe one or two other fringe decks I've seen I might give a run through. But with that, we're going to be wrapping up the linear aggro series. Right now, we're narrowed down to Burn and Humans. Slivers is cute, but I don't think it's consistent enough. We might play with it every now and again. Humans, there's a lot to explore. Burn, obviously, I'm pretty good with it. It's pretty decently positioned at this point in time. Merfolk was very disappointing. Boggles, you saw the best of times, you saw the worst of times. You saw the turn 3 Death Shadow scoops, and then you saw my draw didn't quite come together, and my opponent was able to stop me just enough and then eventually kill me. So, alright, thanks everyone for hanging out. If you like what you're seeing on the channel, feel free to hit that follow button. If you really like and want to support us, feel free to subscribe. And please check out our YouTube channel. We got a lot of standard modern content on there, so feel free to check it out. Thanks for hanging out, and hope everybody has a good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. Good night.